Hi there. Welcome back to Very Good Yoga with Billy. My name is Billy, and for today's practice, all you're going to need is 2 blocks. Let's get started. Let's come to a Tadasana at the top of the mat. And what I'm actually going to have you do is take 1 or 2 steps back. So there's a little bit of space at the front of the mat. We're coming into a tightrope pose, and what I'll have you do is step your left foot smack dab to the middle of the mat. And then step your right foot directly in front of your left foot. So your front heel and your back big toe should be connecting. And I'm going to turn to face you a little bit. So your feet are like completely lined up. Bring your hands to a prayer position at your heart. And maybe this is where you stay. But if you're feeling adventurous, option 2, close the eyes. And I know for me, especially when I start to get the eyes closed, is when I start to wobble and shake a little bit more. And take a few moments here and just notice how your body naturally responds to trying to find balance. And then maybe, now that we've been here for a few moments, you can figure out where you need to press into your feet to get the most stable, dare I say still setup. Okay. Second side, whenever you're ready, switch the feet. So your right foot goes to the middle of the mat. The left foot goes in front of that foot. So the front heel is connected with the back big toe. Hands come to prayer at the heart. And if this was like good for you before, close your eyes. And again, notice how your body naturally responds to trying to find balance. Maybe one side was a little bit more wobbly, maybe they're pretty much the same. But one of my favorite parts about a pose like this, and really just yoga as a whole, is how it helps you just create this body awareness, and learning how to, balance in different ways, learning how to move in different ways. Take a few moments here. Okay. When you're ready, start to flutter your eyes open and unravel your legs. So now you're in a more traditional Tadasana at the top of the space. Reach both arms up into the air. Hold here. Press the feet down. See if you can get a little bit more lift off your lower back. And then eventually grab your right wrist with your left hand and start to find a side body bend towards the left side of the room. So when we find this side body bend today, I want you to find more of a rounding in the upper back. So the right arm should be going at a diagonal to the top left corner of the room, and the belly of the navel is drawing in. On an inhale, come back to center, and then switch hands. Grab the left wrist with the right hand, side body bend to the right side of the room. Again, the belly is pulling in, the upper back rounds, and the chest and face turn slightly down towards the floor. Inhale, come back through center, Urdhva Hastasana. And then on an out breath, hinge at your hips and bow forwards. Keep your hands to the ground when you inhale to flat back. Exhale, step the right foot back and lower the right knee down. Bring your hands out to 10 and 2 so you can create a little bit more space across your collarbone. Inhale, dip your hips, lift your chest, and look forwards. Downward facing dog, plant your palms on the mat and step your left foot next to your right foot. On your next inhale, look forward, shift forward into a plank or a tucked-toed upward facing dog if you're ready. Downward facing dog, send the hips up high. Step your right foot forward, lower the back knee down, and untuck your back toes. Bring your hands a little bit wider to 10 and 2 again, so you can create that length, that broadness across your collarbone. Inhale, dip your hips, lift your chest, and look forwards. Forward fold, step the back foot up to meet your front foot. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Press your feet down on an inhale. Come up to stand, reach the arms up high. See your palms touch and come into a Tadasana with the arms by your sides. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Reach the arms up as high as you can. And then keep that length as you hinge at your hips, making your way down into your forward fold. Press your feet down when you inhale to a flat back. Exhale, step your left foot back and lower the left knee down. Untuck the back toes, bring your hands out wide to 10 and 2. Inhale, dip your hips, lift your chest, look forwards. Downward facing dog, step back, right foot next to the left. Inhale, look forward, shift forward to plank or a tuck-toed upward facing dog if you're ready. Downward facing dog, hips go high. Step your left foot forward. Lower the right knee down. Bring your hands out wide to 10 and 2. Inhale, dip your hips, lift your chest, look forwards. Forward fold is the out breath. Step the back foot up to meet your front foot. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Press your feet down as you inhale. Come up to stand, reach the arms up high. And then could you stay this tall as you come into Tadasana with the arms by your sides. Inhale, reach the arms up. Hinge at your hips, lift the belly as you fold. Inhale, long spine. And then as you exhale, step the right foot back. Lower the back knee down. This time we'll meet in a low lunge. Inhale, sweeps both arms up. Cross-legged downward facing dog. Plant your hands and bring the left foot in front of the right foot. So the left foot is in front of the right foot and the pinky toes are more or less together to touch. On your next inhale, look forward, shift forward into either a tuck-toed cross-legged plank or a tuck-toed cross-legged upward facing dog. And then as you exhale, take it back to your cross-legged downward facing dog. Listen carefully. Keep your left foot exactly where it is. And step your right foot forward. So you're coming into a really narrow low lunge. Don't change a thing. The front heel will line up with the back left knee. Inhale, reach both arms up. Forward, cross-legged forward fold is the out breath. Left foot behind the right foot, pinky toes are together. So again, right foot is in front of the left foot. And we're going to do this shape a lot today, folks. So if you're anything like me and you have tight hips and IT bands, put blocks underneath your hands for support. Keep a small bend in the front right knee. Inhale, flat back. Exhale is fold. Keep the legs crossed as you inhale, come up to stand, reach the arms up. See the palms touch and come into a cross-legged Tadasana with the arms by your sides. Inhale the arms out and up, cross-legged Urdhva. Cross-legged forward fold, lift the belly. Inhale, flat back. And on your exhale, step the left foot back. Heel toe the right foot a little closer to your right thumb and meet me in a traditional low lunge. So there's a little space between the front foot and the back knee. Inhale, lift the arms. Cross-legged downward facing dog. Plant your palms and bring the right foot in front of the left foot. Right leg in front of the left leg. On an inhale, either plank or cross-legged tuck-toed upward facing dog. And then on the exhale, cross-legged downward facing dog. Keep the right foot at the back of the mat. Step the left foot forward to the front of the mat and lower the back right knee down. So again, you're coming into a really narrow low lunge. The front heel will line up with the back knee. Inhale the arms up. to a cross-legged forward fold. Right foot behind the left foot, pinky toes are together. Keep the legs the same. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Keep the legs the same. Inhale, come up to stand. Reach the arms up high. And then can you stay this tall as you bring the arms by your side for your cross-legged Tadasana? Inhale, cross-legged Urdhva. Reach the arms up. Hinge at your hips. Exhale to fold. Inhale, long spine. And as you exhale, step your right foot, step your left foot, come into a plank pose and take a full breath in. Chaturanga is the out breath, lower halfway. Inhale, find your back bend, thighs are lifting, gazes forwards. And on your exhale, come into your downward facing dog. And let's settle here for a few rounds of breath. Can you reach the shoulders away from your hands? Can you lift the hips up and back to where the wall meets the ceiling behind you? And reach your heels towards the floor, whether they touch or not. Full breath in. On empty, look forward, bend into the knees, hop, spring, or step to a forward fold at the top of the mat. Right away, inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Press your feet down. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Tadasana, bring the arms by the sides. So we'll do just one more round of a Sun A. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, reach the arms up high. Uttanasana, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, prepares you for Chaturanga. And as you exhale, hop or step, Chaturanga, lower halfway. Inhale to your back bend, upward facing dog. Toenails are pressing down. And then use your belly and take it up and back to a downward facing dog. Folks, if you've taken class with me recently, you've probably heard me say this recently. I still got a broken toe. So planks and chaturangas, I'm modifying those a little bit today. So listen for what I'm saying and not necessarily what I'm doing. Step your right foot forward and please come up into a high crescent lunge. Reach both arms up into the air. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. And start to find a side body bend towards the right side of the room. So just like we did from a standing position earlier, pull the belly in and find a slight round in the upper back. So now your torso is going at a diagonal. Eventually the belly will hover over the right thigh. Let's inhale. Prayer twist is your exhale. Connect the left elbow outside of the right leg. And press your palms together really well. Straighten out the back leg more. Reach your left heel towards the back of the space and take 2 more breaths. Now, without moving the neck too much, can you start to bring the left eyeball down to the floor? Fast or slow, we're going to make our way into a twisting chair. And maybe get a little bit of hang time as you step the left foot up to meet the right foot. Chair pose, come back through center. And with the right leg on the floor, wrap the left knee over the right knee for eagle legs. And then the left arm underneath the right arm for full expression of Garudasana. So, with the left leg on top, with the left leg in front, the body has a habit to take the hip with it, right? So draw the left thigh back to try to keep your hips squared with the front of the space. Squeeze the outer calves together to get the outer hips involved. And most likely you could lift your eagle arms up a little bit more to feel for the back bend. One more breath. cross-legged forward fold. Slide the left foot in front of the right foot. So again, your pinky toes are together to touch. And let's hang out here a little bit longer than we have the first few cross-legged folds. Left hip back, right hip forward. And again, you're probably feeling this in the right IT band, the outer right hip. There's a bend in the front knee, but that being said, there's like a really soft bend in the back knee, so you're not hyperextending. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. And as you exhale, step your right foot to the back of the mat. Pull the left knee into the belly. Pause. Plank pose is the inhale. Chaturanga is the exhale. Inhale, come up into a back bend, upward facing dog. And then on your exhale, downward facing dog with the hips up high. Step your left foot forward and come into a high crescent lunge, please. Reach both arms up into the air. Grab the right wrist with the left hand and go for the side body bend towards the left side of the room. And again, round the upper back. Pull the navel in. Reach the right arm at a diagonal until the belly is hovering over the left thigh. Inhale. Hook the elbow, prayer twist is the exhale. Connect the arm outside of the leg and turn your chest to the left side of the room. Maybe you gotta pull the belly back to get a little bit more rotation in the midsection. And see if you can reach the tips of the ears forward another centimeter or two. Without using your neck, can you start to bring your right eyeball down to the floor? And then maybe you go fast, maybe you go slow as you step into a twisting chair, right foot next to the left foot at the top of the mat. Chair pose, come back through center, hold here. Right leg over the left leg, eagle legs. Right arm under the left arm for the full expression of Tadasana, eagle pose. Right thigh bone back so we can get the hips squared with the front. Squeeze the outer calves together so you get the outer hips involved. And then lift your eagle arms up another inch or two. Soften your face. Take a couple more breaths here. I know that left leg is getting tired. Okay, inhale. Cross-legged forward fold is the exhale. This is where we'll rest. Outer right hip back, outer left hip forward. And again, the front knee bend is pretty generous in the right leg, and the left leg, it's a little bent. Just make sure you're not hyperextending here today. Inhale, flat back. Exhale to your fold. Inhale, flat back. And as you exhale, step the left foot to the back of the mat. Plant the palms, pull the right knee to the belly, hold. Plank to Chaturanga. Vinyasa. Please meet me back in your downward facing dog with the hips lifted high. Okay, good stuff. Walk your hands to a forward fold, the back of the mat. So in this forward fold, and even in your downward facing dog, your feet should be about 2 fist width distance apart. Take your 2 peace fingers, hook the big toes for yoga toe lock, and then plant the padding of your thumbs right in front of the big toes on your yoga mat. Press the thumbs down when you inhale to a flat back, and then bend your elbows left and right to fold over the legs. So the crown of the head goes to the floor and the shoulders draw away from the ears. You're trying to find a gentle pull with the arms that eventually will find a little bit of external rotation in the shoulders. So think biceps forward and triceps and elbows back. For 3, for 2. Inhale, flat back on 1. Unlock your big toes. Exhale, plank pose. Walk your hands all the way forward to the top of the mat. Drop your heels over to the right. And come into a stagger-footed side plank. Reach the right arm up. And if you ever want a modification, you're always more than welcome to drop the left knee down. But if we're feeling pretty good and want to add on here, lift the right leg, bend into the knee, point the toes. And then maybe step it behind you for a wild thing. If you're taking the back bend, the right arm is reaching forward. The right foot is pressing down, so you're trying to get your hips as the highest point in this shape. Reach the right arm straight up into the air. Come into a brief side plank. Stack your right foot on top of your left foot and reach your heels back like you could stand on the back wall. Draw the right knee into the belly, into the chest. Eventually stepping it forward to come up into a high crescent lunge. On an inhale, reach both arms up. Lift the frontal hip bones up towards your bottom ribs. So we're trying to create this levelness with your hips. The tendency is we go forward and we do like, this shit, right? Sorry for swearing. But I want you to lift up through your pelvic bowl. And then once we've done that, create some space between the hip bone and the front right thigh, bend into the front knee more. Tilt your torso forwards 45 degrees and pause. So to come up into Warrior 3, imagine someone's pulling you by the wrists forward. Don't use your back leg. Put the weight into the right foot so that you press down into the leg, and you actually use your hamstring to come up into Warrior 3. Right foot presses down, and the outer right hip is firming in towards your sacrum. Reach the tips of the ears forward, lift your shoulders higher than your hips, inhale to lengthen. Keep the left leg lifted, pendulum it down, pendulum it forward, pendulum it up. Eventually meeting me in an Utthita C. Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana C. Grab a hold of the shin, the thigh, or maybe if you want the modification, you grab your handy dandy yoga strap and you take that. For me, this is something I'm trying to work on a whole lot more this year. But stand up straight, press the right foot into the floor. Turn the right rib cage towards the inner left leg. And on your next inhale, reach your left arm down, left arm forward, both arms up, Utthita A, inhale. Keep the left leg lifted, pendulum it down, pendulum it back. Make a pit stop in Warrior 3. And we'll eventually be in a standing split. So the gaze is somewhere at the back of the mat. Maybe you can get the belly to touch your right thigh. And on your next inhale, lift higher to the inner left leg. Forward fold is the out breath. Step the left foot down to meet your right foot. And then option, take a Bakasana, crow pose while we're here. If you want the arm balance, bring your big toes together to touch. Plant your palms. Come up high onto the balls of the feet and bring your knees to your triceps. In order to go up, you have to press something down. So in your arm balances, press into the palms so much, it's like the floor is pressing right back at you with the same amount of force. And then maybe you can shoot back. Chaturanga. Vinyasa will only be back in our downward facing dog. Walk your hands to a forward fold at the back of your mat. So again, your feet are still about 2 fist width distance apart. Slide your hands underneath your feet and come into a Tadasana. So the toe tips are coming up into the wrist creases. And maybe we stay here. Maybe we just wobble front and back in the feet. Maybe if we're feeling dangerous, you try lifting both heels off the floor at the same time. But fair warning, you guys, if you're doing that, don't fall forward. I always feel like that's like a silly thing I'll say in class, and sometimes like I'll get a few giggles from people, but I mean it. Like, watch out. I've fallen over in this shape quite a few times. It happens. 3, for 2, take the hands out from underneath the feet on 1 and inhale flat back. Downward facing dog to a plank pose. Walk your hands all the way forward. Drop your heels over to the right. And meet me in your stagger footed side plank. So this is actually like that tightrope pose we did at the very beginning of class. If you want the modification, the right knee will come down. If you want the wild thing, flip the left foot off the right foot, bend into the knee, and then step it to the floor behind you. So you're going for the back bend, pressing the left foot down and lifting your hips up high. The left arm reaches forward, the right bicep rolls forward, and with these one-armed shapes that we do on the floor, make sure that the shoulder's over the wrist. Coming into a side plank, reach the left arm up and stack the left foot on top of the right foot. So now you're trying to get your hips squared with the side wall, your heels back towards the back wall, and the crown of the head forward to the front wall. Draw the left knee back into the belly. Step it forward to the top of the mat and meet me in your high crescent lunge on an inhale. Reach both arms high. And just settle here for a moment. Appreciate that we're not on our hands or our arms anymore. Isn't that nice? Lift the front hip bones up and away from the front of the left thigh. So you're trying to create some space between your hip bone and your leg, but then bend into the front knee more. Tilt your torso forwards 45 degrees. Imagine someone's pulling you by the wrist. Try not to use your back left leg as you lean forward, Inversion 3. So ideally the arms are out in front of you and the biceps are alongside the ears, but you got a wall in front of you, modify with hands at prayer at the heart or support it if you'd like. Straighten out the right leg more. Flex to the foot like you could leave a footprint on the wall behind you. Inhales lengthen. Keep the right leg lifted as you exhale. Pendulum it down. Pendulum it forwards. Pendulum it up. And we'll meet in an Uttita C. So the left hand will grab your foot, strap, thigh, or shin, and the right arm will reach behind you. Stand up tall, straighten the standing leg. Reach your right arm back, down, both arms forward, Uttita A, inhale at the top. And then continue to keep the right leg lifted. Pendulum it down, pendulum it back. We make a pit stop in Warrior 3. And eventually land in a standing split. So both hands are down on the floor. We did this in Warrior 3. We did this in Uttita C. Press the left foot down to lift the standing thigh bone up and try to get the belly on your left thigh. Inhale, lift higher through the inner right thigh. Forward fold both feet to the floor. Option, take a Bakasana crow pose. Big toes together to touch. Plant your palms. Put the knees in the backs of the triceps and look forward. Lean forward. Press the palms down. And then you're trying to create what is known as torque in the arms. And the best way to create that torque sensation that is going to keep you up in these arm balance is externally rotate at the shoulders. Try to hug the elbows in. It's almost like you're trying to break a bar with your hands. And eventually meet me back in downward facing dog. So you take the push-up. Maybe you skip the push-up. But eventually lift your hips up and back. Oh, good. We have a ton of time. Whew. Lower your knees and come into a tabletop place. So here's what I'm going to have you do. Stay in tabletop, but cross your right knee in front of your left. So it's almost like you're setting up for Gomukhasana. And then continuing to stick with this theme of cross-legged poses today, tuck your toes and come into a cross-legged downward facing dog. So we did a couple of these earlier today, and I would say those were much more narrow cross-legged down dogs. And I want you to keep your feet about hips width distance apart. So remember, it's like that 2 fist width distance thing we did before. Keep your legs as they are. Look forward and shift forward into a cross-legged plank pose. Keep the right foot where it is. Draw the left knee into the belly, into the chest. And then cross the left foot in front of the right foot so you're back in a cross-legged plank with the other leg in front. Keep the left hand down. Reach the right arm high so you're coming back into the stagger-footed side plank. Option to stay here, but if you'd like to take a variation of Vashisthasana B, grab onto the right knee, point your toes towards the floor. But if you really want to grab the foot, take full expression. Firm the outer left hip in and breathe for 5, 4, 3, for 2. Step your right foot forward on 1 and come up into a high crescent lunge. Reach both arms up and take a full breath in. See your palms connect and come into a prayer twist to the right. Left elbow connects outside of the right thigh. Hold the pose. So maybe this is where you stay. But if you're looking to take a deeper twist, snuggle the left armpit closer to the outside of the right thigh. So you can get the left hand on the floor, maybe a block, and the right arm skywards. Maybe if this is interesting, you reach the top right arm forward. And you try to bring the left eyeball to the right pinky, to the outer edge of the right hand. One more breath. Runner's lunge is the exhale. Frame the front right foot. Virabhadrasana 3. Float the back left leg off the floor. And let's actually start with our hands at prayer at the heart. So we're going to use this as a pit stop warrior 3 to take us into a revolved half moon. Put your left hand either on a block, possibly on the floor, depending on how you'd like to do this shape. And then reach the right arm out to the sides, like an airplane wing. Use your belly, your ribs, your chest, and eventually revolve your half moon. So the outer right hip reaches back. And it's almost like I'm trying to pull you back by the hips while you reach the crown of the head forward. One more inhale. Forward fold is deep. Exhale. Put both feet down on the ground. Inhale, flat back, prepares you for chaturanga. And as you exhale, chaturanga, vinyasa will all meet in our downward facing dog. Okay. Lower your knees back to the floor, please. And this time, I'm going to have you bring the left knee in front of the right knee. So again, it's almost like we're prepping for Gomukhasana here. Tuck your toes. And meet me in your cross-legged downward facing dog. So the left knee should be in front of the right knee. And again, unlike those cross-legged downward facing dogs we did at the beginning of class, there's at least 2 fist width distance between your feet. Look forward, shift forward to come into your cross-legged plank. And then keep the left foot where it is, but draw the right knee into the belly. Right leg in front of the left leg, so you're in this cross-legged plank with the opposite leg in front. Keep the right hand down and come into your stagger-footed side plank. Reach the left arm up. If you'd like that Vashisthasana B, float the left knee up. Maybe you grab on for the kneecap with the hand. Or if this was good for you before, Vashi B, holding on for the foot, or maybe toe locking the toe. Hug the right butt in. Last 5, 4, 3, for 2. Step your left foot forward on 1. And on your next inhale, high crescent lunge. Reach both arms up. See the palms connect and twist to the left. Right elbow is outside of the left thigh. If you want to open, first set up the right arm so that the armpit is closer to the thigh. Put your right hand on the floor, maybe a brick, and reach the left arm up into the air. If this was good for you before, reach the left arm forward. And if you want to take it even a step further, try to bring the right eyeball to the left pinky, the outer edge of the hand. Inhale. Runner's lunge. To warrior 3 is the exhale. Float the right leg up and off the floor. Okay. Coming into our revolved half moon, put your right hand on the block and the left arm out to the side like an airplane wing. Coming into the twist, turn your belly, your ribs, and your chest to face the left side of your space. Press the right hand down, almost like you would do in a side plank, to lift across your chest. The outer left hip wraps back, and the tips of the ears are reaching away from your tailbone. 5, 4, 3, for 2, forward fold on 1. Step both feet down onto the ground. Inhale, flat back. And as you exhale, chaturanga, vinyasa, we'll meet back in our downward facing dog. On your next inhale, look forward, shift forward to a plank pose. And on the exhale, lower to the belly. Setting up for Shavasana, untuck your toes and begin to reach your arms back. Lift your knees, your shoulders, your feet, and eventually your hands to come up into this belly back bend. So I don't care whether you're staying here or if you're going to move on with me to bow eventually, press the butt into the floor. So you're trying to create extension in the front body. Use your hamstrings and slowly bend into your knees. But if at any point your tailbone tucked or your butt lifted, I actually want you to come out and try again. So it's a really slow transition, and you keep that extension forward in the front body. And then if we're doing pretty well with this today, maybe we go for the full expression of bow, grabbing onto the feet and kicking the feet up into the air. So you're still pressing your butt down, and your thighs are lifting off the floor. The inner legs are lifting into the ceiling. Shavasana, come out with stability and take an inhale. Right cheek down, look to the left as your exhale. And if you would like, maybe you shimmy the hips side to side. Maybe you bend into the knees and you windshield wiper the legs. So we reset the lower back. Maybe you massage the top of the thighs. Okay. One more. Shavasana, lift your knees, shoulders, feet, and hands. Set up this back bend well. Regardless of whether or not you're taking a step further, press your butt into the floor. And then paying attention to what you're doing with your hips and your butt. Use your hamstrings to bend into your knees. And if this is going well for you today, bow pose. Grab on for the shins and kick your feet into the air. If bow pose is something that's like pretty good for you and you want to go for a little bit of a deeper expression, walk your hands down your shins closer to your calves and your knees and kick up the same way you would before. Make sure you're breathing. So the inner knees go back and the inner thighs lift up. Shavasana, come out with stability on an inhale. Left cheek down, look to the right as your exhale. Maybe you shimmy the hips side to side. Maybe you bend into the knees and you windshield wipe the legs. Eventually, bring your hands by your shoulders. On an inhale, move through tabletop. And on your exhale, let's come up into a downward facing dog with the hips up high. So you're continuing to lift your hips up and back. You're continuing to lift your shoulders away from your palms. Melt your heels closer and closer down to the floor. So lower your knees and let's do this. Come into a comfortable seat facing the front and step your right foot outside of the left thigh. Bend into the bottom left knee, so we're going to set up for a seated twist. Put the right hand behind you for a moment and pause here for a second. I'm actually going to try to move in, see if I can get I think that's a better angle. Put the right hand behind you for a second. And as we set up for this twist, when you make this shape, keep the right hand close to the body. Notice what happens when I walk the hand out. I don't know if you can see that because I'm wearing a dark shirt. I'll put it up a little bit. See how I'm kind of like rounding in my lower back when I bring the hand out like that? So to maintain this lift and length of the torso, stay close to the body. Inhale the left arm high. And then as you exhale, hook the elbow and twist to the right. So just like we did before in our twist, the belly is pulling in. So you can get a little bit more rotation out of your torso. Maybe the gaze goes back. And maybe if this is like part of your practice, you go for a bind. I wouldn't really say we did really all that much like front shoulder opening today in class. But if like binding is just like such a part of your practice, like go for it. There's no prize for a bind. There's no prize for taking the more advanced option. Just do your best and own it. That's all I really ever ask. One more breath. And then on an exhale, skip center and counter twist to the left. The right forearm will go inside of the right shin, left hand behind you. Take a full breath in. Exhale, come back through center. And now we're going to set up for a full expression of Gomukhasana. And folks, I'm actually going to turn so you can see what I'm doing as I demo this hip opener. So, to be honest, I didn't know this was called Gomukhasana for a long time. I just called it knee pile pose because, hey, look, you got a pile of knees. And the idea is to get like your knees like stacked over one another, right? But I realized that for a lot of people, getting into this shape is kind of like a big ask. So for modifications, number one, maybe you just keep the left leg, the bottom leg, extended out in front of you. But if you know double pigeon, you could take double pigeon as an alternative. Keep the weight in the middle of the seat as you walk your hands forward and fold. We're just going to be in this hip opener for a minute here today. So what does that even mean? Keep the weight in the middle of your seat. The way that I've heard it cued that I really like is it's like your seat is a triangle. The base of your seat is a triangle. And you have your two butt bones and your front pubic bone. And your objective when you fold in a shape like this, or really any sort of seated fold, is you want to keep your weight right in the center of that imaginary triangle. So butt bone, pubic bone, and your weight is smack dab right in the center of that triangle. If you're having a hard time, I think sitting on a blanket can always be really helpful with that pitching forward sensation I'm talking about. On your next inhale, find a flat back. Exhale, come up into your seat. And just set up for the second side. Straighten both your legs out in front of you for a moment. Step the left foot outside of the right thigh, and then go ahead and bend into the bottom right knee. Put the left hand behind you. Remember, we're staying close to the body. Reach the right arm above you. Take an inhale. Hug the elbow and twist to the left as your exhale. If it doesn't bother the neck, gaze goes back. If you did this before, maybe you go for the full bind. The left foot presses down. And even in your seat, right? Remember that triangle we talked about? Push through there to get more length through the chest, the neck, the head, and the ears. Full breath in. Exhale, skip center and counter twist to the right. So the left forearm goes inside of the left shin, right hand behind you. It's an inhale. Come back through center and come into your Gomukhasana legs, exhale. And again, I'm just going to turn to face you guys once more so you can see what I'm doing. I know I'm a big visual learner. I know there's a lot of visual learners out there too. Even if I know it, like it still helps me to just like, see it. Okay. Once you set up your seat, walk your hands forward and fold. and settle here and breathe. Eyes are closed, breath is steady. It doesn't have to be that ujjayi breath. Frankly, I kind of feel like ujjayi breath is a little overrated. Just something more intentional, just something a little bit more thoughtful, something that'll just help keep you present. Something that you think will help with this cool down. Take a few more good rounds of breath here. On your next inhale, find a flat back. Exhale, come up into your seat. Hands behind you, legs in front of you. And then I want to do a supported fish with you guys. Grab your 2 blocks. And if you would prefer to do an unsupported fish, then absolutely do an unsupported fish. But if you want the support, take your 2 blocks to medium height at the back of the mat, just like this. That first block is going to go vertical. And essentially what's going to happen here is it's going to go right in between your shoulder blades. So it should look like this. I just want to show you something. So you want that block like pretty high up your upper back. And think about it like this, like your rib cage ends about here. So once you start to go below, this point in your upper back, that's just your spine. So to protect your spine, usually go higher, especially if this is something new to you that you're trying to figure out. Keep your hips on the floor. And for me, I like to keep like my hands on the block like this. So like by the time my back actually makes contact with the brick, I can negotiate space and eventually find myself in a real good position. You might have to come up for a second. You might have to make a little adjustment, but then come right back down. Sometimes these yoga poses we can land and just like be there, right? But sometimes some assembly is required. Maybe you keep your feet on the floor. Maybe you come into Supta Baddha Konasana with the legs, with the soles of the feet together, the knees out wide. Or maybe you just keep the legs straight out in front of you. While your eyes are closed, you're taking a few moments to settle in here. Breathing across your chest, your collarbone. Feeling the muscles, the shoulder blades hug the block behind the heart. And maybe you even feel this in your throat as well as you open up the front of the throat, or the throat chakra, if you will. Sometimes we need more, sometimes we need less. When you're ready to move on, I'll ask that you step your feet onto the ground. We're going to come up straight. We're going to come up symmetrically. We're going to sit up. Ditch your blocks, place them off to the side, but have one nearby. And make your way back to the floor. So I want to do a leg inversion with you folks before we rest into Shavasana. And I'm going to offer a supported bridge. Legs up the air with the block underneath the sacrum to start. You could do this with a bolster. You could do this up against the wall. You could even come up into plow if you want something a little bit more active today. So depending on your proportions, depending on your preferences, the block is either the lowest height or the second highest height underneath your sacrum, the flat bony part of your lower back. And if you want more here, reach the arms up, but keep like a really soft break in the wrists. Sometimes I see people do this shape and they're like reaching up into the air. Don't do that. Try to be lax through the joints. So there's a soft micro bend in the elbows, wrists, the thumbs, the fingers, the knuckles, the knees, the ankles, all the way up into the toes, all the way down into the hips. Sometimes we need more, sometimes we need less. But when you're ready to come out, the arms will lower first. The block will go off to the side, and we'll eventually meet in Shavasana. And as always, if there is a specific Shavasana shape you would like to take here today, take these last few moments for yourself to do whatever it is you need to do, whatever it is you'd like to do. One more big belly breath. And on your exhale, open up the mouth and clear it away. No more work. No more effort. Shavasana. Start to deepen the breath. Start to invite some smaller movements back into the body. And then no rush. When you're ready, slowly bend into your knees and step your feet down onto the floor. Hug your knees into your belly, into your chest. And keeping your eyes closed, using as little effort as possible, please make your way up into a comfortable seat, facing your monitors. To seal in our practice, please bring your hands to a prayer position at your heart. Guiding the thumb knuckles up and into your sternum. Please invite a full breath in. Open up the mouth, exhale to clear it away. Thumb knuckles to your forehead, your third eye center. Thank you for sharing your practices with me today. Go in peace. Namaste. Thank you, yogis. That's it for me for today. But as always, if you guys have questions, comments, feedback, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit subscribe. And that's it, you guys. Hope everyone's doing all right. Hope everyone's staying happy and healthy. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you.